Hi, I'm Josh Zook from Surcon, which is a company located right out of Okemos, down the road from TechSmith or Frank's Press Box. It's probably a more familiar landmark for people in the area. We actually went through this exercise of going from a waterfall methodology into an agile methodology about 5 years ago. We started off with developers basically in their own office and decided, this isn't the right way we want to do things. There's a more efficient way to do this. We're missing requirements. They're changing on us. Let's try going down an agile road. So we got some training and we decided let's break down the walls. Let's don't sit in cubicles. Let's don't sit in offices. We sit co-located in rooms next to each other. And what I want to go through is basically what a day in the life at Surcon is at right now, where we're at. I'll cover how we get things done, starting at a release level, down to an iteration level, down to a day-to-day level, and give you some tangible aspects of that as well. One of the things that kind of sums up how we do planning is we use what we call the planning onion. And it's the different layers of planning and teams that go through at these different levels of how to figure out what are we doing, where are we going. At the very highest level is kind of the layer where the executives are figuring out where are we going with the business, what's the strategy that we're going at. Where agile development teams really come into play is what I call the core of the onion, where we have the release, iteration, and day. And as I mentioned, that's really where I'm going to spend the time focusing, giving you some examples. I can't be out of time already. At the release level, the primary goal of that is to figure out what are we going to get done in the next 2 to 3 months. Our release cycles typically go quarterly, and we're building out products which are hosted applications that are targeted towards the insurance industry. What you see over on the right side of the screen there is what's known as a story card. And it's exactly what it looks like, except it's in a physical form. It's an index card, 3x5 index card, where we write out the user stories on there. And we'll go through at the release level and put a size on it. And the sizing is done in what's known as a story point, which isn't a day, it isn't hours, it isn't months. It's just a relative unit of measure. And it lets us to be able to estimate that more accurately and more honestly with ourselves by using a relative unit of measure of how we've performed in the past. And the process we'll go through is we'll get all these story cards written out, we'll get them estimated, and we've got a table basically like this, a little bit longer in our boardroom where all the stakeholders get involved. We lay all these cards out and we do what we call the planning game, where we'll shuffle these around and we'll start saying, this one's more important, let's put this one up here. And we eventually get through where we've had these prioritized into 2-week iterations, tentatively going throughout our release. And tentatively is a key word because one of the tenets of Agile is you're not working towards a deadline necessarily, you're working towards delivering value. So you're constantly reestablishing that plan, working towards delivering on that value. One of the things that we've helped is we have people that are located across the country as well, is they can't always be involved or see the output of this, so we created a release dashboard, which is just an electronic version of the release plan that we've come up with. And what's considered done is pretty easy for us. It's deployed to production. There's other success factors going on that because you can't deploy it in production and have it crash and burn, but basically that's how we know when that release is done. Going down to the next layer is the iteration. You'll hear it called an iteration or a sprint, which John will get into. Same terminology, same thing that's going through. And that's to make sure that at every 2 weeks, we're going back and revisiting that plan and making sure that what we're about to work on is delivering the value that we want it to be. So that could be saying that something's changed in the marketplace or with our customers to where we need to change what we're doing. We're able to do that at every 2 weeks. We can turn on a dime. It's not we've got a plan set in stone where we've done the design requirements for 3 months. Now we're going to go through another 3 months and build that. You'll see this vary from organization to organization. Typical standard is 2 weeks, but you'll see that go from 1 week to 4 weeks as well. This is also where we start to cut with more precision. At the iteration level, we take what was story points and we break these down into tasks and estimate it at an hour level. Because at the end of that planning day that we have at the beginning of each iteration, there's a team commitment to what we're going to get done. And to do that, we need to go down and at a task-by-task level, break this down at an hour estimate and make sure that the team's willing to sign up saying, yes, I can get this done. And as Gary had mentioned, the team is cross-functional as well. It includes product management, it includes QA, and it includes developers. It's got representatives from other parts of the organization that help us also make sure that we're building the right items. So what's considered done, as I mentioned, is the team commitment at the beginning of that iteration. At the end of the iteration, we'll have a company-wide review where the developers that worked on this will actually demonstrate to the rest of the company of what they did, and you'll basically get in that room a thumbs up or thumbs down. It's all or nothing. You either got it done or no, we missed an acceptance test, so that carries over. It's no credit. And the currency that we work in, it goes back to the story points. So if we had a 2-point story point card, if it was all good, that's 2 points that goes to our credit. If it's no good, it's 0, even if we just missed one small thing. And the value of that is those story points go establishing what we call velocity. How fast can the team move? So if we have a team of 6 people and they have an established velocity of 25 points, we know for each iteration we can roughly plan 25 points and adjust as we go forward. Another item that's considered on the iteration is unit test pass. You have unit tests written, we go through code reviews and other things go up to that, but also unit test pass along with some stipulations on it, code coverage, and it's covering the right kind of acceptance test. Where this gets us is the core of the onion, day to day on what we get done. And the purpose of this is to clear any roadblocks that have come up that is impeding the progress towards the iteration plan. One of the ways that we keep track of that progress, see the picture on there is a burn down chart. So there's not focus on how much time did you work yesterday. This was a 16-hour task, I worked 8 hours, so we just assume there's 8 hours left. That's not how it works. It could be, I'm working on a 16-hour task and I re-estimate it every morning and it could have gone up to 20 because there's something I didn't know. So if that happens, you'll see a spike in the burn down chart on the hours remaining, and you'll know that you have an issue that you have to contend with. And you've got a constant health check throughout the iteration to know how you're doing, so there's no surprises at the end. You can compare this to waterfall methodology, where sometimes those surprises don't come until 2 weeks at the end of a 6-month project, where it's a scramble and everybody's burning the midnight oil to get that done. It gives a regular pace, and you always feel like you're doing a jog, but it's a controlled pace. Some of the techniques are co-located teams, as I mentioned, the re-estimation, and a daily stand-up. This daily stand-up has 3 goals. It's, did I get done what I said I was going to get done yesterday? What are my plans today? And are there any issues or roadblocks in my way? Another important aspect is information radiators. The story cards are part of that. The burn down chart, physical aspects of how your team are doing are very important because it helps give a tangible feel to what you're doing and lets other people that might not be directly part of the process know where the team's at. Continuous integration as well with nightly builds and running the unit tests just give that safety harnesses. A developer knows they can go through, refactor code, and feel confident that they didn't break the system in the process. What's considered done is basically team commitments every day at that stand-up. That's another commitment where the team is committing what they're going to get done, as well as updates to the burn down, so we always have that accurate measure of where we're at. That's the end of the slide. Just I've included for the handouts just some additional references that we've used along the ways to help shape our methodology. We've had some formal training as well that I highly recommend, as Gary did as well. But this is just for the reference for books and websites that you might be interested in.